and FNSE. Let's put our hands together for him. You are welcome again. He has been with us since day 1, and today is day 3. We have the pioneer chairman here present, who is equally the chairman of the planning committee of this wonderful training workshop. Let's put our hands together for Engineer Isa Usman Imoabinu, FNSE NIHTE. And we have also a member of the Board of Trustees of this great institution and retired director of FEMA, Engineer Dr. Ayo TB. Let's put our hands together for him. And we have one of the, I'll call him one of the strongest stakeholders, especially when it has to do with infrastructures. He was once a commissioner for works, Benue State, past vice president of NSE, past executive secretary of NSE, past registrar of Koren. Let's put our hands together for Engineer Dr. Felix Atume, FNSE, Fellow of the Academy of Engineering, member of the National Institute. You're welcome again. And then our facilitators, they have, in fact, what they told me this morning was that anybody that is not here at the beginning of this lecture today will be missing a lot, because the person will only get, lecture materials. They have prepared very well. You could see they came in together with enough energy and strength. Let us make welcome once more from all the way from Ghana, our neighboring country that we used to drag jollof rice together, Engineer Dr. Patrick Amoa Bekwe. You're welcome. And then all the way from the United States of America is preparing his lectures behind where you're sitting, Dr. Amin Aknok. Let's put our hands together for him. We'll be having him first. But before then, I want to appreciate every one of you here present. Please put your hands together for yourselves. I may not go around, but FEMA, if you're here, wave your hands. FEMA, NIBRI, you are welcome. Koren, Federal Ministry of Works, Rural Access and Agricultural Marketing Project RAMP, yes, you are welcome. Keystone Bank, yeah, wave your hand, I see you, yes. And our friends from Ghana, yes, you are welcome. Every one of you from the private sector here. If I have not called your name, wave your hand. You are welcome. Thank you. Okay, so before we would have continue to our today's lectures. Yesterday, we've looked at super pave and balanced mix design, road droid presentation on data collection techniques, advanced inspection techniques, advanced data collection analysis and visualization for efficient road asset management. We asked a lot of interesting questions, and I want to believe that every one of us is cleared. But in case you still have questions you have on previous lectures, I'm very sure before, maybe by tomorrow, or if we have enough time today, we can still entertain those questions so we can have them as discussions. Today is very interesting. We are altering the arrangement of the classes for today. The first one we'll be taking now will be Introduction to Artificial Intelligence for Road Asset Management. And you would want to agree with me that it is better taken now that we are all fresh and then well settled. And that will be taken by Dr. Amin. Then the second one will be Introduction to MEPDG and its role in enhancement of road sustainability. The third one will be Asset Management System, Asset Management Systems, that is Pavement Management Systems. Then we'll take the fourth one, which will be Development of Highway Materials for Enhanced Roadway Sustainability. But before we bring up Dr. Amin, I want us, in one word, just think one word. You will just say it aloud. Then another person will say it, another person will say it. Describe this training and the experience you have had so far from day 1, which is Monday, until this time. Can you please just say it, please? Awesome. Excellent. Fantastic. Great. Confirm. Superb. And what again? So please, admin, I hope you are putting all this together so that next day you tell them you have a confirmed, superb, fantastic, and all of that training. Thank you. So ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for Dr. Amin Aknok as he comes up to take us Introduction to Artificial Intelligence for Road Asset Management. Thank you. Welcome. Thanks, man. Yeah.
Good morning. Fresh faces, everybody's awake? We're gonna rock and roll for one presentation now, maybe 3 hours until lunch. You agree, Dr. Patrick? Okay. So, yeah, it was my suggestion actually to start with the intro to artificial intelligence. Honestly, this is a new trend. This is a new kid on the block, and it needs a lot of attention. People need to be awake. There will be new definitions, some math when it comes to machine learning and algorithms. So please pay a lot of attention. Ask as many questions as you may think. You know, I'll borrow the word from Mr. Michael Dresnes, the former executive VP for the International Road Federation. He always says, please go and ask questions, never to hesitate. The only stupid question is the question you've never asked. So don't ever shy. We're all learning. It's a new topic. So feel free to stop me, feel free to raise your hand, feel free to ask question. It is really interesting. Okay, so because there is no stupid question, I will start by asking you a question. Does this make sense? Yeah, it's fair. I mean, you've been asking me all the last couple days, so there's a payback. So what do you think of AI, the word AI? Or we all hear the word AI, the word ML, machine learning, algorithms. Are they all the same thing, or there are differences, or some are like a cloud or a major umbrella that covers the others, or what do you think? The reason I'm asking this, because when these terms came or evolved a couple decades ago or started, and then at that time, I'm a civil engineer, so my work was all in materials, in concrete, in asphalt, in bridges. So in my mind, all were one word, or all were synonymous, equivalent words. Anybody have the same feeling, like AI and machine learning, they are the same, or you see them as distinct from each other? Don't be shy. Who think they are the same? Oh, we're all smart? Okay. So my first slide today will be this one. This is a key terminology in the data world or the AI world. Again, once we mention AI, we have to think of big data. If you have big data, as I mentioned yesterday, as Dr. Patrick said, if you have no data generated, then there is no need to bother with AI, because AI is to take advantage of big data, analyze and optimize, so that we make the right decision in the right time to save money, to save like HR, human resources, and save life, right? So big data, AI, machine learning, algorithms, deep learning, generative AI, they're all included together as one world. But there are some distinctions. So that black cloud here, that is what we call really AI. This is the overall cloud that include everything under one umbrella. So this is, let's say, the federal thing here, AI. And then under AI, to take advantage of AI, we have, as a subset, comes the green one, which we call machine learning. basically how to teach our machines, our computers, how to assist in making decisions on our behalf, or generating trends on our behalf, or develop an outcome or an output that would help us in taking a decision, the right decision in the right time. Then under machine learning comes the deep learning. First, machine learning, you have to know that we do this by introducing algorithms. The machine is not born smart, right? A machine is a machine, it's just dumb. So you let it learn through a specific route or a flow chart. This flow chart or route is the algorithm. Now, there are tons of different algorithms that we will talk about, the most important ones of here in this presentation, but it is our job as the ones that operate the machine that introduce the right algorithm for the right type of data. Data are not all the same, and algorithms are not all the same. So there are specific types of data that fits with specific types of algorithms to help us take specific type of decisions. And we will see all these vague words, what I mean with when we proceed further on those slides. Now, algorithms, working on algorithms, have been developed to generate what we call the deep learning. That's where you start to make the machine think like a real human being. So when algorithms started, there were some mathematical formulations, some correlations, a way of thinking that was kind of simple. And then by developing algorithms, we came with much, much deeper algorithms that make the computer literally simulate the human being. And that's what we call deep learning. So the computer can consider multiple factors to come up with one decision, not like one factor versus, or leads us this way. No, it's a multi-criteria type of thinking, like a human brain, how it functions. To give you a quick example about buying a car, you will not consider only one factor. You know, price or cost could be one, size, the comfort, fuel consumption, color, right? Reliability, the resale price. So multiple factors. Now, some factors come first or more important than others. So in earlier algorithms or machine learning, the computer used to think at one factor to one output, like what type of price, then I'm going to give you the output. Or what size of car, I'll give you the output. The computer used to think this way. Now with deep learning and advanced algorithms, you can have multiple factors leading to one decision. So this is what we call the deep learning. Anybody heard about the term neural network or convolution neural network? CNN? This is one of the algorithms that falls under deep learning because you can literally make the computer think and decide based on multiple criteria. That is what neural network is all about. It's like in our world, let's say you are trying to come up with the impact of every component within an asphalt mix on the final product through the mechanistic empirical design. Dr. Patrick will talk about this second presentation. You cannot consider every item independently. They're all interconnected. So you can use neural network in developing these types of algorithms that can help you fit or solve such a problem. Now, comes after deep learning, generative AI. Anyone knows what generative AI is or can give me an example of generative AI? Probably there is something we use almost every day to cheat. Yeah? What is this all about? Now it's one extra step where the machine is given the capability of making decisions based on inputs that, like, you give keywords and it generates a report or a research paper. So you are giving some leads, and the machine has the ability to continue working at its own to generate something for you. So this is even the most advanced type of machine learning, which is even higher than deep learning and higher than regular machine learning. But the three of them, machine learning, deep learning, generative, are all under one umbrella, which is the famous word AI, or artificial intelligence. So any questions about this? I want to make sure that no one has any confusion now. So once we proceed and we start using these jargons, you know, machine learning, deep learning, generative AI, algorithms, neural network, we're all on the same page. So this is like stepping stone for us. Is it clear? Any questions? Excellent. So what is AI? This is a cloud, or not a cloud, it's a circle that includes multiple things. Some of them we already do or use in real life. And we do it, it comes to us natural, but it is under or included in the AI umbrella. Now, do we need to know all of them? No, definitely not, unless we are really AI experts. But in our careers as civil engineers, construction engineers, architects, you know, project managers, we probably need to learn what makes us do our main job. Planning, maybe some neural network, especially for multi-criteria decision making. Robotics, I mean, it depends, but some do. Machine learning, definitely. Natural language processing, well, I'm not sure about this one. Perception, it's more if you work in industry like, you know, autonomous vehicle, or developing, you know, ITS, intelligent transportation systems. So basically all these terms work together or fall under the expression or the term artificial intelligence. So some of the applications that we do on our daily lives, search engines, Google, there's a lot of AI there, whether you know it or not, but it is implemented. Content recommendation, some spelling checkers, the big one, social media, face recognition, spam filters. You know, spam filters, we all have emails, right? And we all get some emails described or caught in the spam filter. Have you ever thought how this process happened? Or how is this correlated to AI? Like, how would the machine decide that a given email is a spam and the other email is not a spam and it should go straight to your inbox? What do you think? This is a machine learning. You teach the machine, there is an algorithm introduced to your machine that makes it think in a specific way, so that if you receive 100 emails, 80 or 90 of them could be classified as real, legit, and they can go to your inbox. And 10 or 20 can be classified as spam, and they go to your spam filter. Right? Does it mean that it will be done 100% correct? No. Sometimes you find a real or a legit email that goes to your spam. That's why they tell you check your spam filter sometimes, or every once in a while. And sometimes a spam emails deceives your spam filter and it goes to your inbox, because those who makes the algorithm to detect spam are the ones that make the emails that can spam the spam filter or scam the spam filter. But again, back to my question, how do you think this is going to work? Like, if I told you try to generate an idea through which the email can filter the emails, if they are, the email via the spam filter can filter the emails that's coming to your way. What do you think you can do? Let us think together. That is machine learning, by the way. What you will speak about or the ideas you come up and tell me now is the algorithms through which the machine would learn how to filter the emails. So any ideas? That is interactive, guys. Yes, go ahead.
Top of my head, through deleted mails that we delete. So if such mails come, can be regarded as
That is one way of doing business. However, there will always be the first time that will skip. So that will be the only drawback in what you said. So if there is a new type of thread that was not deleted before, yet it is a spam, it will make its way to the inbox. So you mentioned a very structured algorithm. However, if it is implemented, it will catch a lot of the spams. You're right. But somehow you can still dodge this. So what is the next generation? What else you can do? Any other idea? Any other algorithm? Think outside the box. You have 100 email. Which one, and again, you're not a human being, like you're given the machine is not a human being. So you have to give it a matrix, a methodology of thinking that is not tied to human relations. Like we need equations, mathematical relations. So, huh? Right, through, elaborate a little bit. This is another, yes, and honestly, a lot of the government spam filters or intra-network work like that. If it's not a recognized source, put it into spam. Yeah, actually the Ministry of Transportation in Saudi Arabia, they do that. And I got to know this firsthand when I was teaching a class for them in Barcelona, Spain. You know, Saudi Arabia, they have a lot of money. So when they do a training, they send their people somewhere in Europe, and I have to go to Europe to teach them. So so yeah, that's the way they do training. It's overseas, but they never have this group of smart people. I have to be fair here. I'm impressed with the amount and the way people are paying attention here. So, yeah, no, I'm serious. The Saudis, they like the training and they do good, but because they have the feeling they are outside their country, so it's a bit of relaxation. So this is one perk to have it in a serious organization like here. A lot of people can attend, huge numbers, and everybody is attentive. So really a lot of appreciation for all the organizers for this, I have to say it. But they asked me for a presentation. I sent it to their emails, and I have their work emails on the roster. All the emails came back to me. It's like, or like everybody said, oh, we didn't get your email. Guys, it's like, I sent it. Oh, sorry. Your email is not documented at the Ministry of Transportation, so it all went to spam. So this is another way. Can someone think of, yes, sir?
Is it possible for you to assign some numbers or record it? Because since the machine could not be able to understand, so we make him to understand what we have by coding it. Coding it in what way is this? Maybe you now think, let's give it an example. Like you have all the attributes that is coming out. You can give a label to it so that you'll be able, the reason why you are coding it is this. Because one, you want the machine to understand what you are doing, then you'll be able to answer your research questions and analyze. Maybe I should come again. What I'm saying is this. You have gotten your information or your data. And the data which you have gotten does not end there. You want to explain.
Okay, but is this correlated to spam filters or your...
Something like that. Correlation studies.
I mean, for some reason I can't understand the idea, but... Yeah, anybody got it? I didn't get what, the overall... We can discuss it on the side after the lecture, but generally speaking, most of the spam filters, the way they work, and I do have some friends in Google. Yes, sir?
What is trying to link it's how you program the spam filters.
Yeah, how you program, yes.
So even on your site, I get the impression that he's saying that, well, if you're able to program certain things that do not come directly to you, like the Saudi Arabia example that you gave, when the emails or whatever you receive comes, then you have coded it, you have programmed it.
That's basically, yes, there are some words, some bad words, or
Yes,
some
precisely.
cussing words that if it is included on the email, yeah, definitely.
It automatically goes in.
Automatically, that's
goes
one
in.
way. Actually, it is almost a guarantee that any spam filter has this as a major component.
Yes,
This
so
is
It depends on the coding, and for example, we had this emails where we call them 419s. Fraudsters will send certain email that your great grandfather left some money somewhere and
Yep.
all those things. So
Yep.
if you've coded it in such a way, when you receive such an email, automatically
100%.
it goes to your spam.
Automatically,
It's depending
yes.
on
I
how you
agree.
coded it. So that's what I got from what he's saying.
Exactly.
Okay,
So
thank
this
you.
is a major component of any spam filter, that some words, some terms has to be considered. It's like you hit it right. Once you see this on an email, send it to spam. So you might be sending a serious email, but you made a joke. You put like a nasty word, one word in it. People in America, they used to do this a lot. They write a serious email, then they put like, and then that email is gone to spam. So they always, they always tell you, whenever you're working in something serious, be serious all the way. Otherwise, your email will be perceived wrong. Now, other way of doing it, which is basically a lot of the spam filters are operating like the algorithm forces, or not force, it asks the computer to give a rating for specific words. So this word get number 1. This type of word, you give it a grade of 2. Another word or a set of words is given grade of 3. And then there is a threshold. They tell you every word is coded on the email. If it doesn't fall under this dictionary of bad words or dictionary of words that are classified, you give it a 0, as if they do not exist. But once you hit one of those words, you go and see what is its worth. Is it 2 points? Is it 3 points? And then you add up, and then if you hit a benchmark or exceed this benchmark, you're gone as a spam email. Now, if you don't hit this, it goes as a serious email. So sometimes it's a well-written spam email, nice, neat, professional, no bad words, so the spam filter would fail to detect, right? Do you get the idea? So basically, the way you describe everything like a bad word or rating for bad words or your content, are there or not, these are all what we call algorithms through which the machine would learn how to function. And this algorithm and machine learning process, the whole thing, with its ins and outs, are all under one umbrella, which is AI. Now, I guess, do you have better feeling of how things are considered or how things are classified on the world of AI? Okay. Now, not all AI is the same. We have to know this. Some AI is considered narrow or weak AI. Some are general AI, and some are super AI. And personally, after all the studies I've done in the world of AI, I wish humanity will not proceed more in the super AI. I hope we would, I mean, we are lucky as engineers or civil architects, you know, we're all on the world of narrow AI. Very limited applications goes to general AI, mostly pharmaceuticals, like robotic surgeons and those fall under general. But you know, super AI, I'm not aware of applications. They are working on it, but I hope they are not successful, and we will know in a minute why. So weak AI or narrow AI, basically you generate an algorithm or you teach your machine to conduct a routine thing for you. You do a major data analysis task which cannot be done, or it can be done by manual means or using regular simple Excel spreadsheets per se, but whatever will be done in 10, 15 days can be done in 1 minute with the narrow AI. And this is what we do in our work. Like, you know, remember yesterday when we talked about inspection, and I talked about ARANs, the automated road analyzers, I talked about LiDARs, and how, you know, you can capture major segments of your highways or a huge size of your bridge network. And the amount of inspection data can be thrown at your computer at the end of the day. Now, does it mean without humans you can never do the work? No, you can, but you will need probably 10, 15 engineers locked in a room for 3, 4 weeks to analyze a set of data that was obtained in 1 day by the LiDARs and GPRs and drones, etc. Now, the beauty of AI is you can generate the narrow AI. You can generate an algorithm, feed it into your computer, or train your machine to excel. And then, once the machine is well trained, you can input all the data with a press of a button. And then the decision that will take a bunch of engineers 15 days to come up with can be given to you in a minute. So with all this beauty, it's still called a weak AI. Then why it is weak? Because simply you are the one driving the machine. So the machine is kind of still weak. It's under your power. Now, if you feed it something great, it will give you a great work. Something not great, it will give you not great work. So you're the one driving the machine. That is why we call this a weak AI, right? Or narrow AI. So these are all under the umbrella of narrow AI. Now, its advantages, I mean, it's a facilitator. You can do very fast and hard decisions in a heartbeat. It's reliable. At the end of the day, it does the task, a single task that you ask it to do. Now, the challenges, basically, because it's not strong or it's still weak, you're the one in control. If any spamming happened or hackers came, the computer can never tell. So the machine can be deceived, and it can basically, you're under the mercy of spammers here, right? And then it is prone to bias, and I will talk about this, what is the meaning of bias, also because the machine is under your mercy. If a human error is made in programming, this weak AI will never detect it. So the machine is good or as good as what you feed it with. You know the word GIGO, garbage in, garbage out? So if you feed it garbage or you made a wrong algorithm, the machine will give you wrong decisions. There is no way the machine can correct itself. Now the general AI, the machine basically can simulate the human mind. So it's not only an in and out. So this is more of a deep learning type of. You make the machine simulate your human thinking. So neural network can fall under general AI. So basically, you can take the knowledge and then, from one domain, transfer it to another. Also, ChatGPT or generative AI can still fall under general AI. Now, what is super AI, which I honestly hope we will not reach to this point at any day? It makes the machine more smart than you. Basically, when I think of an example, because I get this question a lot, what could be an example of this? Let's think about an autonomous vehicle. Those of you, again, who went to the IRF in Phoenix. You have a Waymo app. Then through this app, like Uber, you put a start point, end point. Then you are at the start point. The car would arrive, take you to the end point, and charge you the money. Good. But still you are in control. You tell the start and end point. Now think of making it a super AI. Probably the car would kind of tell you where to go. It's like, now it is afternoon, it's time to go home. You don't input home, it takes you home because it knows you're tired. Now it's weekend, I'll take you to church or the mosque, or I'll take you to the gym. So basically, the machine is telling you what to do. I mean, this could be a wild example, but basically, this is super AI. You have minimal control, if at all you have a control on your machine. So these are the three levels. Now, as engineers, we are doing 90% of our job on the narrow AI. Some of our job, for those who does research and high-level reporting, can go into general AI, but there is not yet any application in engineering or probably anywhere else where the machine would tell us what exactly we should do. So, and I hope we stay like this, because I'm really scared of a day that we wake up and we find robots take over, the government took over our lives and we're basically enslaved to some robots. I mean, it's science fiction, right? We hear about this in Hollywood movies, but who knows? Some crazy scientists can come up with application and then we all pay the price. So now toward machine learning, and I need you here to start paying a lot of attention. So how do we teach our machine? How would our machine learn? Like when I talked about the example of spam filters, that was the very beginning of machine learning. I told you, come up with ideas to detect how to single out or filter a set of emails to which ones are correct or good, which ones are spam. And you all came up with very good ideas. These are all the building bricks for the machine learning, which is we call algorithms. So basically here we have training data. What is training data in our world? Can you give me examples? Huh? Exactly, things that we know. Let's say in our work, as Dr. Patrick said yesterday, if anyone in his lab or anyone on his office start by creating or documenting what he is working, maybe in 5 years, you would have an adequate set of data about conditions of highways, the impact of the geotechnical conditions on the roadway condition, the impact of the rain, the impact of poor drainage or good drainage, the impact of the weather or weather change, the impact of the thickness of the different layers of subbase, base, and wearing surface, the impact of the asphalt content or the binder content or the bituminous content on the strengths, the correlation between the number of vehicles or ADT on your rutting or on your cracking or on whatever. These are all training data. Training data is any historical data that you may have through your entire career. So all this set of data you have to create. As I said, without data, forget about machine learning, forget about computer, forget about asset management for softwares or like bridge management and pavement management, forget about AI altogether. Because the very start point is to have historical data. The more the data you have, the more your ability would be into developing an algorithm or a machine learning model that somehow simulates or is a strong model. Because let's think again about spam filter. It is a weak AI, right? So if you give a spam filter 2 bad words and tell him, I need you to consider that these emails with these 2 bad words are spam. Do you think this is enough? Only 2 words? There are hundreds of bad words, right? Now, this is a model. You created a model. But because you have very limited dictionary for bad words, we call this a weak model. It will do some work for you. It's better than nothing. But because you didn't do elaborate work or very detailed work, so the model will do some good work, but its efficiency is not that high. That is the same thing when you don't have enough training data. Like you can do monitoring for your highway network for 6 months and develop a model. Well, it is a model, but 6 months, the amount of data are not enough, are not long enough, are not huge enough to allow you to have a strong model. So using the training data, and the more the data, the better, you generate a model, and then what is future data? What do you think future data is? Like training data is your history. What's future data? Exactly, it's any projection. So let's say you generated a correlation between traffic, how heavy the traffic is, and the longevity of your pavement or the pavement condition, right? So this is based on past or training data. Then you have the projected future traffic. You can input this into the model, and based on the historical data, it will tell you the expectancy or the life expectancy for your new project. So basically you can decide how thick of a layer you would go for or what kind of material you use. Maybe your model can tell you it's better to use concrete pavement here or rigid pavement rather than flexible pavement. Or what type of maintenance activity. It might tell you for this one, do chip sealing. For this other one, do full depth reclamation. These are all types of activities that could be handled through machine learning and developing a model based on training or historical data, and by using the future data to do or to give us the prediction. Now, are all machine learning following the same path? Of course not. Why? Because our data cannot be classified in a similar manner. Not all the data are the same. And not all the purpose of our work is the same. So there are 2 major types you have to consider. There is supervised or unsupervised learning. I need you to look and read the classification, and I need someone to come up with an example for what could be considered unsupervised. Think outside the box. I know it's not an easy task because this is a new topic, but I really hope someone can tell me what an unsupervised learning could be. Any idea? By the way, we are exposed to clustering or unsupervised learning on our daily life. And once I'll mention the example, everybody will say, ah, yeah, we have that. What do you think? Can you give me an example? Basically, we are the victims. I don't want to say we are using it. We are used as subjects. Perfect. You know, don't we all come at point like you talk to your colleague about specific type of cell phone, and then you open your Facebook or Twitter, and then you find an ad for this, and people like, oh, the machine is spying on us. It's a global thing, whether you are in America, in Australia, in China, in Africa, in Middle East, wherever you are, people have this thinking. I mean, I cannot say if the machine is speaking or not, is spying or not, because I don't work for the CIA, right? But I can tell you one thing for sure from my studies, that the machine is fed with algorithm that does what we call clustering or unsupervised learning. So it can detect trends. So it can count your clicks on specific type of websites. It has image recognition. We all post photos on Facebook. So based on the photos, it can tell if you are a guy who likes to wear Nike and Reebok and type of athletic shoes, or you wear leather shoes, or brands like Clark's or whatever. So from this image recognition thing, it can detect who you are. It clusters you with a specific group of people. So it targets you with with advertisement that fits what that you are interested in. Somebody could be interested in fishing. He's posting, his pictures on boats and, doing searches on websites about the best type of fish nets or fish baits or. So the computer would detect this and basically send this ads to you. You are targeted by the computer. This is exactly clustering. Why we call it unsupervised? Because there is one set of data. It's what you do, what you like to do. Nothing else. So the computer grasp or grab a specific trend and work with it. On the other hand, there is supervised learning. Can you tell me what is supervised then? If unsupervised is one set of data, what could be, if unsupervised is one set of data, what is supervised? Exactly, something you have in and out for. So basically, traffic count versus a time of the day, right? So we all know what regression is, or a graph, X and Y, independent variable, dependent variable. So it could be the age of your roadway and the pavement condition index with time. So the higher the age, the lower the PCI. You have an in, which is the time, you have a PCI, which is the out. Or the traffic count versus the pavement condition index. Or the geotechnical condition versus the pavement condition index. Or could be the type of the bridge or the span of the bridge versus the amount of maintenance required. So this is supervised because you have an in and out. You have a data that you feed in and you have an output, whether it is the condition of your road network, the condition of your bridge network, the outcome of a specific maintenance procedure, the outcome of a specific preservation procedure. You do have in and out. This in and out is not available on the unsupervised model. On the unsupervised, you are just taking a snapshot of somebody's activities. So you have in, but what is the out? You see what I'm saying? So clustering or grouping or generating trend is an algorithm that could work well with unsupervised. Can you tell me of other real life, like who you think would like to use clustering in their work? Like tell me what business you think. See? Marketers, well, and people with like big supermarkets like Carrefour or ShopRite, or they want to know what season is the sales increases for a specific type of goodies. Like, so that they can buy stocks and they can put it on their shelves. If they buy wrong goods or goods not in due season, then it will stay longer and they are prone to losses, right? So marketers, sales guys, they want to have a specific, like which age group would be interested more in iPhones? Which age groups would probably think of tablets instead of phones? Or which age group would like to buy this specific type of clothes versus that specific type of clothes? So marketers, sales guys, all these people are into clustering. Now think about classification or regression, supervised. Tell me what are, how about, classification, like decision tree. You ask yourself a question, based on the answer you go this route or you go the other route. And then next question until it leads to the end. Can you give me? Researchers for sure. Think about bankers. Let's say you are working on the loans department. You are the officer that could agree or disagree to give a specific person a loan. And here I'm talking about rightful procedure, no underground deals. So if I'm a good guy and giving a loan, there are a set of, you apply for a credit card. There are multiple criteria, right? The age of the applicant, how old he is. That can tell you if he's responsible or not responsible. Next, his salary. How many years he has been in his job. Is he married or not? Maybe if he's married, he's more serious, more committed. If he's not married, he might take the money and spend it on travel and cannot, pay it back. Does he own the house or he's living in a rental house? His previous credit history, did he file bankruptcy before or not? So based on the questions and answers, you end up with a final decision. That could be a yes or no, or you might charge a premium. Like I'll tell you a weird example. Like any of you have done car insurance in the United States, like has had part of his life in the US and bought a car and went for an insurance company? You've done? Okay, I noticed something, because, I've been for more than 20 years. I have, 2 kids, so I bought multiple cars during my life. If you buy the same brand, same gas mileage, same everything, but if it is red, they will charge you more insurance than if it is white. Or if it is purple, it will be even more than red. Why? No, no, it's something psychological. And one of my friends work in an insurance company, and he told me the algorithm they have, they spotted that those who buy weird colors, they're crazy thinkers. They tend to drive fast, they're reckless. Like a responsible manager, an old guy, a married guy, he would probably buy a white or a black or traditional, formal, reserved colors. But a young kid will have a high tendency to buy yellowish, phosphoric, pink, stuff like that. So they spotted a correlation between the color of the car. Now, it's something funny, but it's serious. Because at the end of the day, in insurance business, they are taking risk. You are paying a premium, you may not use it, or you may overuse it, and they are at loss from this specific customer. So they noticed that they don't have good luck with people using weird colors. So they decided to raise the premium on these people. This is a classification problem. Based on previous data, for the past 20, 30 years, they spotted that there is a trend of those colors making more accidents. Then we put it in our computer algorithm. The moment you say my car is red, you find a few dollars gone up. Same for life insurance. They ask you a question, and based on your habits, your body weight, your blood pressure, they can tell you, these are also classification models, right? They might end up telling no, because the decision tree, it took them that your life and your weight, your eating habits, and together they added up, you are a high-risk person. Then the algorithm tells them, no, Don't give life insurance policy for this person. Or you have high risk but not super high, then probably you will give him a high premium for the insurance policy. Or if you are young, healthy, athletic, etc., okay, accept him and give him a low premium. That is basically a classification. And why supervised? Because they have previous data that told them for this age, the likelihood of death is like that. And for this health, the likelihood of death is like that. So they go through and they classify through supervised learning using the appropriate algorithm so that they can reach to the right decision, again, right decision at the right time. Think about it, in the US, you apply for the credit card, you get a decision on the spot. Some people might say, oh, did he have the time to filter? Oh, well, it doesn't pass through humans at all. They have a machine algorithm. If this is your age, this is your income, this is your marital status, this is, then here's the decision. Human factor is not there at whatsoever. Okay, so first, supervised model or machine learning model we call regression. And please pay attention here because regression is the #1 model for engineers. Now, what is regression? We all learned probably a little bit of this regression when we were young, a few years ago, in the College of Engineering or in the statistics courses. So basically, we are trying to come up with a best fit, either line or curve, dependent on your having linear or nonlinear regression. That could fit through data points that you have. Now, this is what I meant by regression. You have a relation between two variables. Independent variable on the x or the horizontal coordinate and a dependent variable. It's like here, the TV, type TV, and, or the cost of a TV and the sales. Not the cost, but probably, type or brand or something. But let's give other examples. Think about a roadway. What could be the independent variables on the x coordinate? Can we brainstorm together? What are the independent variable in our business? That, like the dependent variable or the one on the y-axis could be the pavement condition index, PCI, right? Which we all are trying to calculate. So what could be on the x-axis? Multiple parameters. Okay. Traffic. The load. Wait. Time, age, material, thickness of layers. Okay. Traffic, drainage, money available for maintenance, number of inspectors doing the job, quality of contractors, temperature changes, right? Do you have snow or not? Do you have rain or not? These are all independent variables that could be on the x coordinate. And then the dependent variable on the y coordinate could be the condition of your highway. Now, what are the red dots? These are what? These are data points, right? The age of a bridge versus the PCI. Every bridge, let's say, the age of the highway. So if I have 100 highway, how many red dots I'll have? 100. If I have 1,000, I have 1,000. Every roadway is giving me one data point. Same if I talk about bridges. Can you give me some independent variables? Span of the bridge, very important. Still age of the bridge. Structural system, is it a truss bridge, a girder bridge, arch bridge? Material, is it steel or timber or pre-stressed or reinforced? Huh? Expansion joints or spacing of expansion joints. Traffic also could be. Is it a stream crossing? Maybe you're having chlorides in there. Tons of parameters could be on the independent variables. And so let's say when we talk about the inventory in the United States, anybody remember how many bridges are there? I mentioned this a couple times on previous. 623,000. So how many red dots you would have? 623,000 red dot. Now, is this an advantage or a disadvantage? I mean, it's a major advantage if you look at it from the sense of how accurate their future modeling would be, because you have huge data. You have got scenarios, and Dr. Patrick, when he mentions about, the next presentation about mechanistic empirical, it's all based on, empirical based on previous data. So when you have such a huge data, your modeling would be almost accurate because you are feeding the computer with scenarios that basically covers every aspect in life, right? With 623,000 data points, it's very hard to come up with a scenario that was never faced before. That's why, we say in the US, they're the kings of data, right? But on the other hand, it's a trouble to maintain, to update, because these points are dynamic. As age elapses, data changes. So you have to have huge, well-trained people. That's why they're dropping the dependency on human factors, and they are using drones, they are using LiDARs, they are using, I'm trying to tie up everything together so, because it's all one subject at the end of the day. So if you try to generate or update 623 data points using manual visual inspection, good luck. You'll need what? 1 million inspector? Where would you find them? How would you train them? What salaries would you pay? How long would it take them? Forget it. So you need machinery. You need to swipe or use an ARN, automated road analyzer, to capture your highways. You need drones. You need LiDARs. Everything is automated to keep up with this huge set, okay? So in regression, now how would the regression model? If we talk about linear, then there are assumptions. The x and the y coordinates are not dependent. They are independent. Okay? Other thing, the relation is linear, not curved. Now, correlation. Do you remember this correlation? Now, we're now going a little deeper into how the computer works. And we honestly need to have some basic understanding of how it works so we can technically know when to use regression. Because not every problem can be solved by regression. Sometimes you need to do a decision tree. Some other rare conditions you'll use clustering. So basically, we need to know how the model would work or how the algorithm function. So as I said, it's a weak AI. The computer will do the work, but the outcome depends on, did you select the right algorithm or you did not? So if you selected a wrong or a weak algorithm, you might end up with a poor model. You think you are doing a great job, but you're not. The computer cannot tell you, and you're deceiving yourself. So algorithm of regression, basically it depends on what we call the correlation. How is this x coordinate correlated, or the change in the x is correlated to the change in the y? Let's show you here, back. What do you think? Is this direct or indirect correlation? What do you think? X is increasing, right? Y is it increasing or decreasing? Increasing. So this is direct correlation. When you increase the independent, you increase the dependent. Now, back to our example about asphalt. We said that you have multiple independent variables that would affect the condition index of your asphalt, like age, traffic, etc. Can you tell me what parameters of X would go directly with the Y? How about age? Is age directly or indirectly correlated to the condition? No, indirectly. Why? Age goes on, increase, condition decrease. So you will have the chart opposite to this. You'd start high and go down. Right? How about the thickness of the pavement layer? Directly or indirectly? Indirectly. Or directly? No, it is directly. You increase the thickness, it will get better. You go weaker. How about geotechnical condition like bearing capacity? The higher the bearing capacity, the higher the condition. How about traffic? Indirectly. Higher traffic means your condition is going to go down. How about budget? I'm saying it not loud because I'm not sure if there is politicians here, but directly or indirectly? Directly. The higher the budget, the better the condition. How about training here? So Engineer Isa is happy, he's smiling when he How about the amount of rain? Indirect, more rain, lower conditions. Temperature changes. So now you've generated an idea about what is correlation, what is direct, what's indirect. Comes the second or the next point, strength. Because we need to know if it is direct or indirect, and sometimes it's zero. If I told you the address of the roadway, there is zero correlation with the condition, right? You agree? But then the strength of correlation is how close your data points are to each other. So if you have direct and strong, they're both going up together and the data points are highly centered around the number. The higher the scatter, so this is a direct but not very strong because you have differences between the data points and the model. And we will see this, here. That is how the computer sees. Computer doesn't, again, understand what's condition, what's rain. It is basically, it works through numbers, right? So what is -1, what is 1, what is 0? 0 if you have no correlation. Like if you put the x-axis is your address, the y-axis is your condition. No correlation. You will get scattered points with no meaning. They're not showing if they're going up or going down. No trend. So 0. Now between 0 and 1 there is a positive correlation or direct correlation. The x increase or the independent variable increase, the y or the dependent increase. 0 to -1, the x increase, the y decrease. Of course, the closer to 0, the weaker the correlation. The closer to positive or -1, the stronger the correlation. So this is kind of a matrix. If you have 0, then it's no correlation. Between 0 and positive 0.3 or 0 and negative 0.3, it is a weak, whether weak negative or weak positive. Between negative 0.3 and negative 0.5, or 0.3 and 0.5, it's a moderate, whether positive or negative. Then greater than 0.5 or lesser than negative 0.5, it is a strong, whether positive or negative. So this is a perfect example for a 1.0. Can you see this? All the points, again, what are the blue and the green points? These are your historical data. The historical correlation between your x, or the independent variable, and the y, or the dependent, which is a dependent variable. Why we call it, the right-hand side is the blue one, that is perfect indirect, or perfect negative. The left-hand side is perfect positive. All the data points fall on the straight line. How about this? I mean, it's strong. You see there is some dispersion, but it's not huge. Right? How about this? Getting weaker because there are larger distance. How about this? Zero correlation. Could be anything. How do we calculate, or how will the computer calculate? This is the equation. It's called Pearson correlation coefficient. What is N? It's a number of data points. So again, think about the bridge inventory in the US. N is 623,000. X is any independent variable. So you will have 623,000 X. Y is the outcome, the condition of the bridge, condition of the roadway. You do the math. Like here, I mean, I'm not going to go through this example, but we're trying to calculate a correlation between the weight of a baby, a newborn, and the height. Right? Technically, there is direct correlation. Weight and height increase together, but it's not strict correlation. There is no rule that says every 1 centimeter increase that has to have X grams. There is a correlation, but not 100% strong. I mean, here, this is the calculation of X's and Y's, and it is showing you at the end, it's 0.47, it's almost on the verge of being a strong correlation. Right? Now, do we do this equation because I get this question? No. I mean, there are softwares like Python, like R. Basically, these are built in. It's libraries. The computer has all what you need is you write one line code. So if you have an Excel spreadsheet with 623,000 rows, every row is one data point, one bridge. All what you do is you write one line of code that input this sheet to the program, and then one line of code basically use regression. Then it will tells you, is it positively correlated? Remember, it's not only one thing. You can have the age versus the condition. You can have the traffic versus the condition. You can have the rain versus the condition. You can have tons of parameters. You know, Excel spreadsheet has got rows, which is data points, and has got columns, which could be parameters, age, temperature, traffic, etc. So you can do these extensive mathematical operations by writing 7-8 line codes. You do X amount of analysis. Now, what is the beauty of this? As an engineer, the sky is the limit. One thing, you know, the stronger the correlation between the parameter, like if I told you, we all said age and condition is correlated, but the indirect. The higher the age, the lower. There could be some other thing that is indirect, like traffic, and there are other parameters that are direct. Now, if I don't have a huge budget, I may not be able to invest on every parameter. So which ones you think you would pick? The ones that have higher correlation or lower correlation? Higher. So you can make your case to politicians, to your boss. Yes, sir.
I observed that the normal idea of X and Y axis, which we have, the X axis being the horizontal,
Independent, yes.
and the Y axis being the vertical.
The dependent, yes.
I saw that you interchanged it.
What?
Is it intentional? The previous slide. Yeah, the other one. No, back.
Oh, back?
Yeah.
Like this way or the other way?
No, the previous one. Yeah.
Oh,
The previous. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So the vertical
No,
is
it's not. I'm taking this out of a statistics book, a snapshot. It's not intentional. It could. I mean, you can name it however you want. You know, don't stick
because
to
here the Y is now
yeah. No, I see. I'm sorry
and it
about this
affects
confusion.
the formula that you're using.
No, it doesn't affect the formula, by the way, because the formula treats them symmetrical.
Okay.
Formula is not going to be affected. You know, honestly, when I learned this, my supervisor, he said, forget about X and Y, call it independent and dependent, because this is the right terminology for computer science.
Okay.
You know, there is nothing on earth that says this, you can call them A and B, you can call them I and Z. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So these are just alphabets.
Okay.
In
All
China, they don't have X and Y. In Egypt, they say Alif, Bih, Teh.
That's
right?
fine. That's fine.
So yeah, that good notice. I've never noticed it actually. Thanks for bringing this up. So basically, again, as I was just saying, it's a very powerful tool to make a decision based on whether the correlation is direct or indirect, or whether the correlation is strong or not strong. Where to invest the money, and. I know I'm probably going to go over time, so should I continue and shift, or should I make this cut and go toward the end? It's up to you guys. It's a very interesting topic, and it takes time, honestly. Keep continuing? Okay. Now, clustering. This is how it works. So basically, you are trying to come up with a methodology to group data points to create trends. So, oops. Here, it could be velocity and the average acceleration. You are trying to group them together. Now, how do we calculate? Like in regression, our calculation was dependent on how close or how far the data points are to the line, right? Now in clustering, we calculate a distance from a center of a cluster. You consider the cluster as like a circle or a space or an area. It's a 2D. An area has a CG. How far from the CG? So distance-wise, you know, here. So you can see 3 clusters here. One is orange, one is purple, and one is, I think, green. So how would I say that, you know, these points fall under this cluster to the right, not to the left, or the one up and not down? How do I define the boundaries of my cluster? It is basically dependent on how far the data points from the center of this cluster. I mean, how far, there are 2 methods of calculating how far. One, they call it the Manhattan distance, which is basically you add X and add Y. But this is like not very accurate. The Euclidean or the Pythagoras, you know, Pythagoras, X squared plus Y squared under the square root. This is what the computer uses. Point A and point B, the distance between them is the diagonal distance, which is X squared plus Y squared under the square root. Right? So our target for clustering is to minimize the distance. You draw the line for the cluster, the boundary of the cluster that minimizes the distance. So to make things clear, look at this numerical example. Please pay attention here. It's very simple, but it will be very confusing if you don't pay attention. Now I have individual points, 1, 2, 3, 7 data points. X, let's say X is the variable 1 and Y is the variable 2. So point 1, like if you plot it on a graph, it will be 1 and 1. X is 1 and Y is 1. Point 2, 1.5 and 2. Point 3, 3 and 4. So you need to come up with 2 clusters to combine, to classify these into 2 clusters. Now, which points would fall under cluster 1 and which point would fall under cluster 2? Do you follow the sequence here? So what you need to do is you will assume that's what the computer does, how the computer thinks. It will pick 2 random points and consider these 2 points as a centroid for cluster 1, centroid for cluster 2. So point 1 is considered the centroid for cluster 1, and point 4 is considered the centroid of cluster 2. Then you will calculate how far every point is from point 1 and from point 4. This is how you do it. Point 1, how far it is from point 1? 0, right? Point 1, how far from point 4? You do the Euclidean, the difference between the x squared, the difference between y squared under the square root. So point 2 is far 7.21 from point 1 is far 7.21 from point 4, right? How about point 2? You calculate how far it is from point 1. It's the difference between the x square plus the difference between the y square. So it gave you 1.12 far from point 1 and 6.1 far from point 2. So where do you think it will belong? To point 1 or point 2? In cluster. Cluster 1, because it's closer to cluster 1, right? How about point 3? Same distance. So it could, in the border between the two. Then point 4. Point 4, it's a centroid of cluster 2. So its distance from 2 is 0. Its distance from 1, it's the same. It's the inverse of point 1, if you see. Point 5, point 6, point 7. Now, according to this classification, if you want to group points together, which points would fall under cluster 1? It's the points that are closer to centroid 1, which is point 1, point 2, well, point 3 we'll take it for now because it's equal distance. Then point 4, 5, 6, and 7, they are closer to centroid 2 than closer to centroid 1, right? Is this understandable? Excellent. So now you have 2 clusters, or based on your assumption of 2 clusters, cluster 1 would have point 1, point 2, point 3. Cluster 2 would have point 4, point 5, point 6, point 7. Now, is this the end? No, it is not, because you started by an assumption. You have to validate, right? So what you're going to do is you will calculate the new centroid for the cluster 1 based on the 3 points you had. You had 1, 2, and 3. Remember, our first assumption is the centroid is what? Is point 1. But this was an assumption. Now you have to calculate the centroid based on this. So you will add the 3 points together and get the average, right? So point 1, point 2, point 3 has got 3 x values. You add and divide on 3. That gets you the x of the new cluster. And same for the y. So look at that. Once you get the new centroid and you recalculate the distance, what happened here? Point 3 jumped to cluster, no, jumped to cluster 2. Now point 3, and the previous one, sorry, we considered point 3 was cluster 1. But then when we shifted or recalculated the centroid, it changed its allegiance and moved to cluster 2. Now it's closer to 2, 1.78 away from 2, 2.04. Right? So this is how it is made. So we assumed it first, the cluster 1, the small, which is having 2 points, we stretched it to include point 3. But then after we recalculated, we figured it is belonging to point 2. Does this make sense to you guys? Now, my next question, but who said it's only 2 clusters? Because the computer doesn't deal with 7 data points. You have 600,000 data points. So you might have 2 clusters, 3 clusters, 10 clusters, 20 clusters. Depends. So the computer would assume 3 clusters and redo the calculation, 4 clusters and do the calculation. Now, what do you think the best number of clusters would be. I mean, I'm sorry, I have no board here. Usually I use a paper and a pen and write on the board. That gives me higher ability to move the idea. But let us have a discussion. If you have 10 data points, and I want you to come up with the answer of what number of clusters would make minimal error. Basically, the error is what? The distance between the point and the centroid of the cluster. So if you have 10 data points, how many clusters do you think is going to have 0 error? Huh? No, 10. Because every point is a centroid of itself. Then in this case, the distance between the point and the centroid is 0, because the point in itself is a cluster. If you have 100 data point, you have 100 cluster. Then every data point is a cluster of its own. But if you have 100 data point and you have 2 clusters, let's say 50 and 50, then how many errors you'd have? You'd have 50 error here and 50 error here, right? So the question is, should I consider every data point a cluster? That's very hard. It's too much computation. And then at the end of the day, the algorithm, we call it overfitted. What is the meaning? It's a little complicated now. It's getting more into details. But overfitted, basically, you have too much clustering, so every point is a cluster by itself. Then what will it predict in the future? Because basically you have been into so much classification to the point that you cannot generalize. You're now very specific, no generalization. So if I give you a data point in the future and I ask you which cluster it belongs to, you have 620,000 clusters, so which one? So overgeneralizing or too much thinking, even for a computer, is something that is not good. It makes it more complicated. So you have to come up with an optimum number of clusters. How is this? It's basically, they have what we call the elbow method. Look at this. It's the x coordinate is the number of clusters, the y is the error. So basically, if you have one cluster, you'd have a huge error. You see that? If you have one cluster for all the data points, you'd have massive error, right? If you have 2 clusters, the error would reduce because you have 2 centroids. So some points would be closer to one of the centroids. So you are dropping down the distances. The error is the sum of the distances. Like think about, I have no board, but if you have here, a data point, and I have one cluster, then I have one centroid. So how to calculate the error? The distance to this point plus this point plus this point. So you have a huge error. But if I had 2 clusters, probably this cluster has 1 data point, the error is 0. And this cluster, the centroid is closer to the 2 points than the original cluster. So the error would drop down. The more the number of the clusters, the lesser the error. But we will see a trend. The drop would decrease with time. So you would reach to a point that increasing the clustering, you don't get a return on investment because the error is not decreasing enough. So they call it the elbow method because the computer, this is how the computer works. It picks the number of the cluster on the elbow. Like see the curve is like this. This is the right number of clusters. So here, 3 is the right number. I mean, it's very complicated because like you study this algorithm in a whole month in IT or in computer science. So I'm trying in like 25 minutes to teach what, so I'm, but if you grasp the sense of the idea itself, that makes it perfect. Now, I'm going to be short through this one, but it is classification. That's basically you ask a question and you keep chasing. Yes, sir. Which one? Within cluster, this Y, the WC, it's here. The error, which is basically within cluster, what do we call it? Within cluster sum of squares. Sum of squares is because the error is the sum of the squares of its Pythagoras. So within cluster sum of squares, it means the distance between the centroid of the cluster and all the data points. You get that? So basically, this is the WCSS. That stands for the error. The distance is the error. So if you have every cluster a point by itself, the WCSS will be 0 because the sum of squares is 0. The point lies on itself. You see the point here? Okay, comes decision tree. That is where you have a root node, and then you ask a question, and then it keeps branching off. The top one is the root node. This is the most important question you ask. So probably, if you are a banker, that could be how old is the person. Based on the answer, you would branch off here and there to do a classification. Okay? So, again, I will try to give an example here. So let's say spam or not spam. Like, let us agree on one thing. You have to modify your algorithm by minimizing the error. In regression, the error is the distance between the data point and the straight line. Minimize this, or make line fitting. Clustering, come up with a number of clusters that minimize the distance between the centroid of the cluster and the data point. That is minimizing the error. Yes, sir.
In my own understanding, are you assuming that the points are equidistant from each other?
No, they're not equidistant.
Because if they are not, and you cluster it, you might find a cluster with more number of points than others.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Now is that fine?
Yes, that is actually the intent. You are non-biased. You are trying to find the cluster that minimizes the distance between the points and the centroid. Regardless, you can have a cluster with 10 points, another with 2 points. That's fine.
Okay, that's okay.
You get it?
All right.
So yeah, your target is not to have equal clusters. Your target is to have minimum distances.
Okay. Okay. Because I'm thinking if you're analyzing based on clusters now, you have a better analysis with the cluster with little data points or more data points than the one with little. Exactly. And if you have those differences, I don't know if it affects it generally.
No, again, your deciding factor is the sum of the distances in all the clusters.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So if one has 2 points, then the sum of these 2 points, other with 5 points, the sum of the 5 points, and then you add them together.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
That's okay.
Okay. So just to go through this, the decision tree, how you define, like here, that's a good question. You determine based on minimizing the distances. Now here it is basically, you have multiple scenarios. So let's say you have a spam filter. What are the chances that we have? You could have a correct email, right? That is spotted as correct. That's one thing. We call this a true positive because it is good and spotted as good or classified as good. That's a classification algorithm. Or you could have a spam email that is classified as spam. This is a true negative. Both trues are good. True positive is good. It means that your algorithm is working right, whether in classification of good or classification of bad. It is right. You could have a case where a legit email classified as spam. What is this? It's a false positive. It captured it as spam, but it is not, so it is false. Or it could be a spam that is classified as good. This is a false negative. It didn't specify it, but by mistake. The 2 falses are bad, the 2 trues are good, right? So look at this. Actual spam, predicted spam, that's good. You have a total here of 100 email. 40 are detected as actual spam. This is good. 50 are detected as not spam and they're not spam. That is also good, right? 5 are spam predicted as not spam. That is bad. The computer made an error here. 5 are not spam predicted as spam. The computer also made an error here. So you have 10 errors and 90 are good. Now, is every error the same? You ask yourself this. No. Like if I told you, if you are a banker and using this classification system to classify, should I give the loan to this businessman or not? If he deserves it and you give it to him, that's a true positive. That's good. Your algorithm helped. If he's a crook and he's classified as a crook, that's also good because you spotted him. But now there are 2 chances for error. He's good, you think he's bad and you denied him, or he's bad and you think he's good. These last 2 are bad, but which one is worse for you? Think about this. Which one is worse as a banker, as a head of a banking institution? To classify a good client as bad, that's bad. Or to classify bad as good, it's also bad. But which one of the 2 scenarios are worse? To classify bad as good, what is the consequence? You'll give him the loan, goodbye. He will escape with the money, right? But to classify good as bad, well, I mean, yeah, you lost a client, but you have tons of other clients on the line, so you're not going to go broke. So this is what we call a confusion matrix. And because it's weak AI, the computer doesn't know. The computer would tell you all these options. You are the one that picks the decision tree, what type of questions to be asked based on minimizing the parameters that you think you want to minimize. Does this make sense? Like, I'm gonna give you another example that we learned, and you see, this example will tell you how the pharma industry is bluffing all of us. Let's say now COVID came new. When the percentage of ill people is 1%. So every 100 people, 99 are good, 1 is ill. Let's say I'm a guy, I'm a crook, and I claimed that I have a pharma company, I developed a method to detect. And this method is bogus, it's detecting nothing. So I'll get the 100 people, I'll do the test for them because my product is nothing, then I'll say that the 100 are good. But this is not true, there is only 1 ill guy. So what is the mistake I made? Did I make 100 mistakes? I made 1. Because it happened that there is only 1 ill guy. So even my product is bogus. What was my accuracy? I'm 99% accurate. Right? Because based on my horrible product, I said we have 100 non-ill. In real life, how many non-ill? 99, no, non-ill. 99 are not ill. So I was right in how many cases? 99. So my accuracy is 99%. If you take me to the court, because I said my accuracy is 99%, I'm going to win. Because my accuracy is really 99%. You have 99 good cases and 1 bad, and I said you have 100 cases. So I was 99 times right, 1 time I was wrong. So my accuracy is basically how many true positive and true negative divided the total samples. I got 99 true, I got 1 wrong. So I'm 99%. But in real life, does my product worth a penny? Would you spend 1 naira to buy my product? Because the only case, so that's what pharma does. When you buy a sanitizer, they tell you it kills 99.9% of the germs. Then if you get ill and you try to sue them, well, bad luck. The only 1 in 1,000 is what got you ill. By the way, I'm serious. They do that. They are playing with data. And if you take them to the court, they will be winners. That's how they do it. So yeah, sometimes you ask yourself, why are they saying 99.99 of germs are killed? Why do they leave 1 in 100, that's 1 in 10,000 because of this. So what I want to say here, the accuracy is BS. Sorry for my expression. In this case, other cases, accuracy is good. So we need to define another parameter here, which is precision. How many true positive divided by true positive and false positive? Why? Sometimes it can go the other way around. Let's say my product is going the opposite way. It tells you all cases are positive. So you have 100 people who are not ill, 99 are not ill, and 1 is ill. My product spot everyone as ill, just to be on the safe side. Everybody is ill. Now, did I capture the ill person? I captured him. But I scared 99 other people who are not ill. They are now shaking. They thought they are ill, but they're not ill. So here comes the precision. How many of the cases that I spotted ill are really ill? So my precision here, if I said everybody is ill, but only 1 is ill, will be 1 in 100. Right? So again, which is more important to you? Is accuracy more important in this example, or precision, or none? Basically none. Because accuracy-wise, you're 99%, but it means nothing. And this one also means nothing. Now, they come up with what they call the recall. Recall is how many true positive you capture versus true positive versus and false negative. In this case, if you have only 1 ill and you didn't capture this, what is your recall? 0. Because the only case were not recalled. So this is the right parameter to define in case of a vaccine. Same for hand sanitizer. When they tell you 99.99, okay, come here. Your precision is 99.99. Maybe my human immune system can beat those that you can beat with 99.99. I need the recall. Out of the dangerous ones, how many you can fight. So when you have one body is ill out of 100, and then you tell me no one is ill, your recall is 0, because the only case you had, you failed to recall it. So this should be, in the world of vaccination and in the world of capturing illness, the recall should be what you care about, but they never tell us this. So 3 different values: precision, accuracy, and recall. The 3 together has to be calculated for every decision tree, whether it's for business or pharma or vaccine or. Now, which one you care about, that depends on your analysis, like as I said in the banking, which one you care most, giving a loan to a wrong client or denying a right client. Both are wrong, but which wrong is more important to you? So it's a case by case. And this is again what we call a weak AI. The computer would calculate all the matrices for you. But then the interpretation of the numbers, it is your own human judgment. So the computer is giving you a hand, but you are the decision maker. That happens when you have regression. That happens when you have classification. Even with clustering, you have to judge how many clusters, what level of details would I need to go to. So this is how a decision tree looks: a question, a new branch off, and you keep going up. The initial question usually is the most important. This is the root node, the blue one at the top. The red ones down there are the final nodes, or the answers, or basically the decision you're gonna do. With this, I concluded a whole semester of university work in in 2 hours. I know, honestly, I could have done a little better job if I have a board and I'm talking while, writing, but, honestly, if you can grab, like if I say percentage you grabbed, the retention, did you get 50% of what I said? 50% or above, you have done a magnificent job. I would never dream of more than, because honestly, if you have, this is like the building, the foundation of AI. I mean, there is much more into this. More algorithms, more methods for thinking, more confusion matrices, you know, and stuff like that. But if you get 50% of what I said today, you've done a great job. You're probably learned at least a couple months worth of work in a session of 2 hours or 2.5 hours. Questions? Okie doke. Thank you so much. Mr. Emmanuel, thank you, and I apologize, but now you understand why I wanted to make it the first one in the morning.
Yes.
Because if I made this after lunch, everybody would be sleeping, or maybe I'll be talking to empty chairs. Everybody will be gone, and I'm speaking to myself. You know, by the way, it happens sometimes, you know, when we have an online lecture, like a lecture that's hybrid, online and face-to-face, and students are absent, and the online are there. So I go to the class, I write, I speak, because people are online. Now, people walking in the hallway, they look, it's like, this guy lost his mind. He's talking to empty chairs, but I'm talking to people that they don't see.
Please, a round of applause for Dr. Amin Aknok. You will agree with me that everything was going fine until we started looking for the clusters. Yes or yes? And then false positives, false negative, negative false, and all of those things came to be. But you must agree with me that it was a very interesting one, especially when we were talking about the machine learning, supervised and unsupervised data. You know, sometimes I'll be discussing with my wife, and she will come up with some kind of news, and I'll be like, excuse me, where did this happen? But this is not on my news. And the truth is, it is not on my Facebook, it doesn't pop up anywhere, but it's actually trending. And then she'll be like, are you for real? And then I'll just laugh at her and say, look, these are not what my interests are. Because the things I do on the internet, they are different. So even when I put my YouTube on, the kind of adverts that I see will be very boring. You'll be seeing Namecheap, Hostinger, all those, you know, electrical things, project management. What's the business with some of these Gen Zs, you know? And when you go there, you now see things happening within the airlines and other things. That is what AI does. So the truth of the matter is, artificial intelligence has come to stay. It has not come to take your job. It will take your job only if you don't get interested in it, to learn it, to understand it, to control it, to own it, and make good use of it to make your work faster, very faster. So please, let's embrace that. So ladies and gentlemen, now we shall go and have our tea break. We have it, it is ready. Let's have our tea break quickly, and when we come back, we'll have a pep talk, and then we'll continue to introduction to MEPDG and its role in enhancement of road sustainability. Thank you. Yes. So it's 11 a.m. We are back in 15 minutes.